Okay, Dale. I'll talk to you soon.
So, welcome, Linda. Here we go
Hello.
again. Well, I'll tell you something.
Hello.
I've got your name up wrong. I've got Katarina's name up. It's going to be one of those shows this week because I better explain to people this is probably going to be the last show on YouTube because as I was talking to Linda beforehand, I discovered some satanic messages or subliminal.
Okay. Can I just stop you there, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoever is watching this, I want you to try this at home. Please try this out because I just did what Mike is about to tell us, and this is horrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Please try this because I've done it and it works and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a short video of this at some point today with a live screen to show you exactly. But if you go to any video on YouTube, anyone you want, and this includes our show and the Jeanne d'Arc prophecies, and in the browser you see youtube.com/ and all this coding. In the word watch, take out the letter H, delete the letter H, refresh it, and a completely different video comes up of all these little satanic red dark little video with 6666666666666 all the way along. And what this is actually doing is it's all to do with energy, and what I've been saying for a long time, they're doing things at a subtle level. So they're infusing our show, our high spiritual energy show, with satanic influence. You do this on any YouTube video.
Yep.
And it'll be the same.
Right now, guys, I've got my browser open. I'm watching Mike now. Up in the browser, it says https://www.youtube.com/watch $V jibber jabby. In that watch, you delete the H and then refresh the screen. Wonder if H stands for hell.
Yeah.
Because I've just done this and I've seen it. Yeah. The channel is called 666. It was created in 2012, I think it was. So this has been going for a long time, guys. Yeah. This may be also the end of me on YouTube, because I certainly don't want to be part of anything that's going to be sucking the energy out of my energy as well.
Yeah.
Funny thing, because I've actually made a list. I want to do a video tomorrow and I'm going to call it Energy Vampires. Funny that I got told that one earlier today.
Yeah.
Because this is energy vampires and how they operate.
Yeah.
We don't know. They're doing it. So they're doing it against free will, and I don't like that, Mike.
No.
You know, I don't like anything that interrupts with our own consent and free will.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
You know,
little buggers.
For me, I come to understand a long time ago, everything is energy. And the fact that they've done this, they have linked an energy with everyone's YouTube video. And this is a very powerful thing that they've done, because everybody who watches a YouTube video has their work infused with this satanic little demons running around. And so you imagine millions of viewers are being bombarded at a subliminal message.
Yes.
So
that's right.
You know, Nikki's just said that she tried it, and wow, how did they allow that to stay up? It's because YouTube are doing it. It's their encoding.
That's right.
So they know exactly what they're doing. So
that's in the coding of YouTube. So they are allowing this to occur.
They are producing it.
So this may be me getting off you. You know, I'm as I was telling Mike off screen, I'm only about 3 months away from monetizing my channel. I think I'm going to seriously reconsider what I do on YouTube now and start another channel either on Rumble or BitChute or something like that.
Yeah.
So because these places you can say what you like. So, because hello, I like being honest and raw.
Yeah.
Whereas on YouTube, we are walking on eggshells every single week.
Yeah.
Just in case we upset their fact checkers or we upset their terms and conditions or their community standards.
Yeah.
And as we all know, and that's why you're watching us, their community standards are so not right.
Well, also, Linda, I've got one community strike against me. And so all scheduled videos that I do will not show up anywhere.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Only people that subscribe to my channel or get the link will be able to show this. So we really have, it's like a kangaroo court. And so, as they say, it's insupportable. There's no way. And I can't have my Jeanne d'Arc prophecies going ahead with this satanic shit underneath. So if ever you want to know the depths of evil that we're living in now, this is it. This is it.
Well, so I feel like, oh, darling, my day today, I will go there, guys. Today I've had a very disturbing day because this whole charade is now in my face. I knew it this morning when I woke up. So I've always been an empath. I've always had that, the spidey senses. Something's happening today. Warning, Will Robinson type thing. Today.
Showing your age there, Linda.
See, I even know the theme song. Lost in Space. Oh, God, please give me the abort codes, Mike. I need to get off this ride.
Stop the planet. I want to get off. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Well, Linda, I better say, it does give us opportunity. We're rescheduling, or we're revamping the whole show. Linda's up to do some psychic yes/no answers to questions.
Yes. If you do want yes or no answers to something like, should I apply for this job? I'm going to start doing live readings through our shows, guys. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you do want to comment now, I've got the screen open. So, Nikki, I know that you're still watching. Hello. I know that there's a few other people watching live.
Yeah.
If you do want me to answer a question for you, she's on board. Hello, like always, because she doesn't leave my side anymore. Yeah. She's like my CNI dog, I really should call her my CNI dog. Labrador. Labradoodle she wants to be. She's a Labradoodle if she's going to be a dog. So if you do want me to answer a question, guys, please comment because I'm going to start doing live readings, okay? Yep, psychic answers.
Future shows we'll be having some freebies to give away.
Yes. Let's go there.
Yeah, go on.
My book, Ghosts, The Psychology of Why They Stay, it's now in the hands of the formatter. So by this time next week, I'm going to be giving away free PDFs of this book, and it's over 200 pages long.
Wow.
With real ghost photos that I took inside,
Yep.
real ghost stories explaining psychology of why they stay here.
Yeah.
So I hope it's a good book. The person who's formatting it, she's also proofreading it, and she's going to give me feedback. So hopefully she's very open and honest with her feedback.
Yeah.
You know, because some people say, oh, I don't want to offend her. I'll just say it's good. I don't want that. And I've already told her that. I said, if you don't like it, tell me.
Yeah.
Because you're like a purchase. So, guys, if you do want me to do a psychic question for you, obviously, as a psychic, there are things that we just cannot disclose. But we can always get that insight. So, obviously, like I was in a group today and they said, oh, my dad's house he's died and we're having problems with other relatives to who's getting the money. I need my dad to come in and tell me how to get the money. They can't tell us that stuff, guys. Okay, spirits cannot tell us how to wrangle money out of somebody else. It's against free will, it's against universal law, and also money doesn't mean a thing where they are. So, they give us the love and the support to face those, to give us the strength to face those dilemmas. So, obviously, but if you do want a question asked, guys, throughout the show, obviously it's only for those who are watching us live. So if you're watching this at a later date and you think, I'll comment, please know. I'm not going to answer them because I don't come to Mike's channel very much through the week because I'm busy with my own life and my own work. But please know that you've got to be here live. This was one of the, we can only suit so many people on the planet, unfortunately. It's morning for Mike and it's evening here for me in Australia. So, Mike, we had better get on with our show.
I just want to say very briefly as well that the show we're going to bring down to 1 hour. And also next week I'm going to be having some real people talk about their experiences, and hopefully one of them is my wife Elizabeth, just to prove to you all that I am married. I do have a wife. It's not a figment of everyone's imagination. And so this is the final thing before we get on the show. Please, if you have had a spiritual experience, an encounter with a divine being, saved by an angel, NDE, anything, you don't have to be on the show. You can just have it scripted or do audio if you want. But we want real people to...
Well, Mike, while we show the first video, can you please comment your email address so people can comment, send you an email? And I'll put my email in as well as a comment, guys, because as long as you contact one or both of us, then at least we can get it to Mike so then he can work it all out and get it on our show for us. Yay!
Okay.
Yay! Awesome.
Well, let's go over see what Katerina has to say in our new format. Fingers crossed, it'll work. Katerina, what's on the agenda today? What's the first thing you want to look at?
Well, the first thing takes us to Santa Fe, New Mexico. In the mid-1800s, there was a group of sisters who wanted a church built in Loreto, the Loreto Chapel, as it's come to be known. And what happened is they found an architect, everything was great, and in the middle of construction, the poor man perished. So, yes, they were stuck with...
Typical builder, perishes in the middle of it all. Sorry, carry on.
Right, 2 more weeks, that just never happens, right? It's another 2 more weeks. But they, a lot of it was completed, but they just needed a staircase building up to where the choir would sing. So they prayed and prayed. And lo and behold, a man came to them, and he was a builder, and he said, I could build you a beautiful staircase. So they said, wonderful. He went off to work. His condition was that no one disturb him. Nobody could come in and see him work, and he worked. So all of a sudden, one day, they noticed nobody was coming out. They were like, oh, maybe he finished, or, whatever have you.
Whatever builders do.
Whatever builders do, right? So they walked in to find this beautiful one-of-a-kind staircase. It looks like a spiral, and it also looks like, if you look at it, a helix of human DNA. And what's so fascinating about this, apart from its beauty, is that there is not one nail, no glue. It defies physics. It just boldly defies physics. So they were, of course, very pleased and wanted to pay the man, but he just disappeared. they had no clue how to find him. So they thought, let's go to lumber yards, because of course he had to have gotten the lumber from our location somewhere. And no one at the lumber yard said that they saw a man fitting this description. So what it is said to believe, the sisters believe, and many other people, of course, is that the man was actually Saint Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters. He was, he did the work, was not paid, and disappeared. And since then, science has tried to explain away the staircase. So they took samples of the wood, and there's no other kind of wood that matches the wood that this comes from on Earth, let alone Mexico.
Well, there you go. It kind of reminds me of the Mr. Christian story with the Georgia Guidestones. This guy turns up, orders the constructions of the Guidestones, which, as we all know, are no longer there. No invoice, pays cash, never see the man again. But there you are. Our next story, Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. What's she been up to?
Yes, well, she gave a few people, 2 women in 1901, a feast for their eyes, so to speak. 2 ladies from England in 1901 went to Versailles to be a tourist and take in the sights. So they got into a lot more than they bargained for. When they went off looking for a garden that Marie Antoinette frequented, they said that it was like kind of her haven in the middle of everything, on the Petit Trianon, I believe is how you pronounce it. And so these 2 women veered off the track of the normal tourists and went in search of this garden. And they came along a old farmhouse with a plow in front of it. And lo and behold, 3 men in pointed hats and green overcoats came out of the house, and they asked, like, oh, excuse me, where can we find this beautiful garden? And one of the men said, oh, it's over the little bridge over there, just keep going. They went to the bridge, they didn't see anything, but then they saw another man, and he said, oh, you have to go down this other part of the gardens of the estate. And they said, okay, great. And they didn't find the garden, but they walked into a building thinking maybe this secret garden is housed in the building. Sure. And they didn't find the garden. What they saw was a woman sketching, just sketching in her pad in old-fashioned looking clothes. Yeah. So they still did not know where to go. So they wound up back with the rest of the tour. And, they just thought, well, oh, that was odd. I guess we didn't find it, though, despite all this help. So a year later, they, went home and studied photos of Marie Antoinette. And one of the women said that it looked like her sketching in the garden. And when one of the women went back, they also came to find that the plow and the farmhouse hadn't been on the property of Versailles since about 1787, nor the bridge. Right. So they've come to theorize that the men that they saw were the guards of the queen.
Time slip.
Yes, and the other man was one of her enemies. They studied again in a painting and saw that it might have been one of her enemies.
Wow. Well, I tell you, did she appear with her head on? Because we know she had it chopped off. So presumably she had her head back on.
I guess if she was drawing, she'd need to see. Well, I guess would she if she's a ghost?
That we'll wait and see when we cross over. Do we need our head? Probably we don't. But our final story, we're all about hallucinations here. What's going on? And another French story with all this kind of hallucinations. Is it a town full of mushrooms? What's going on here, Katerina?
The Pont Esprit Pont Esperit story from 1951. Yeah, to this day they kind of have, different theories. What happened was the whole town had mass hallucinations. They traced it to the bread and ergot poisoning. It's some kind of grain or, affected flour. And they want to attribute it to that, but science has said that the amount was so minuscule that it would only maybe affect a mouse, like a lab rat, but not a human being. So what happened was there were 5 deaths and 50 people were hallucinations that made them do things like jump off a building, saying, I'm a plane, I'm a plane. And when the gentleman hit the ground, he didn't even lie flat and just be broken to bits. It was a 2nd-story building, I believe. He got up and started running.
Wow.
And it was only a little bit afterwards that he finally fell. But yeah, they really don't know. Some people think it was an early MK Ultra experiment that somehow, I guess, the U.S. and France had a little deal on and said, well, use this town.
So, Katerina, next week, same time, same channel. And whatever you're doing, have a great rest of your day. Yeah, even when I recorded that with Katerina, she was doing the little dance in the titles as well. So, yeah, there we are.
Well, that staircase, I am in love with that staircase.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I want that staircase.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's made of wood from somewhere else. I'd have that in my house in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories, Mike, regarding time slips and ghostly encounters. Yeah. We'd have to be there and just experience to know which of the two sometimes it would be.
Yeah.
We can't always just assume it's one or the other.
No.
And that's the unfortunate thing about empirical evidence is when it happens to us personally. Yeah, but that was good. That was good that you were just talking to her because it made her, she's got a beautiful laugh. I love her. She's a gorgeous girl. I love Katerina. Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Well, I just figured it's probably more fun for people to listen to if there's a quasi conversation. And I know what it's like when you're just speaking into this little green dot. There's no very difficult to get the right energy, but.
Are you mocking me that I do that every day on my YouTube channel?
No, I do it. Everyone does it. It's more fun, isn't it, when you're speaking with someone?
No. Well, I would actually like to go to a comment, Mike. We have our first comment. So thank you to Tracy Bennett. I hope you're still watching. Okay. She says, blessings, Mike and Linda, thank you. Is my recently departed family member still with me? Now, Tracy, I'm detecting male here, okay, like a father figure or grandfather. So please let me know if that's who you're thinking about. Is he still with you? Absolutely. I'm hearing that he's saying that he's now with another female, probably his wife, because I'm getting very intimate details. So that would also suggest that his wife has also passed. But please know that he is still coming through to you because he's just come through so prominent with me. Now, the other part is, am I about to change my employment? Yes, you are. Is the answer. Yeah. There's a couple of possibilities here, Tracy. One, you stay with the same company, but you're changing your hours. Okay, I don't know if you want to go to less hours or more, or is it going straight into another company altogether, but I can see there is a change with your employment coming. So I hope that helps you there, okay? We've just got a couple more viewers came on too, so if you do want questions answered, please know that I now do psychic readings throughout the show. So please comment your questions like Tracy just has, and when we get to it through the show, I will answer them for you. So, Tracy, I hope that answers your questions. Okay.
Right.
Darling, we'd better get into
Melbourne Jail.
Melbourne Jail.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Here we go.
Creepy story.
Yep. Here we go. Let's run it.
More than a century later, there are the ghostly attractions, which beckon from the cells of old Melbourne Jail. Unexplained happenings by day and by night. Amanda Baker wasn't one to believe in ghost stories. At least, not until she took over as manager of the museum 7 years ago. Now, she's not so sure.
When I first started here at the jail, the manager at the time, he told me about a lady who used to come in, and every time she came in, she'd stand at one end of the cell block and look towards the other end, and she'd see these three figures of what she thought were women, and it just happened every single time. I never met this woman. All I did was hear this story from my previous manager.
And staff too have had weird experiences. Experiences that stretch the imagination and defy logic.
We have a tour guide here called Bob. He's been with us for about 5 years, and he was starting his tour up on the stairs back there, and somebody asked him straight off the top, said, "Oh, are there any ghosts here?" And he said, "Oh no," he said, "nothing that we've experienced." And at that time, there's a cell just sort of directly to the side of him while he was doing his tour, and the light flashed off, on, off, on, and that was just the one light. Now we found that there was nothing wrong with the globe, and for that to happen, for it to be a circuit failure or anything like that, had to happen to all these cells on this side, as they're all on the same electricity circuit.
But it was a personal encounter that caused Amanda Baker to really question what was going on inside this place, where so many suffered and so many died.
I left the cell that night. I got my coat and everything was in order, and I closed the door and I went out and locked the door behind me and went home. Then I came in the next morning, and I was the first one in, and I went in to hang up my coat, and I look on the ground, and there's the sugar canister smashed in the middle of the floor. There's also, we had a basket hanging up on the wall, and that was also on the floor. There was no reason for that. There was no wind or no nothing could ever get into that cell from when I closed it the night before. There's no explanation as we would know it. The sugar canister I found, it was on the floor. It was smashed, and the glass wasn't everywhere. It was all sort of neat in a nice little pile. But there's no explanation except for something, a being in here.
Monique Weir also believes there could be something or someone lurking in the jail. And maybe she has the evidence to prove it. Monique is a keen photographer and saw the old prison as a perfect subject. On the day in question, she was absolutely certain she was alone in this section of the cell block. She fired off a series of photographs and later sent the roll of film to be developed.
And when I got it back, I sort of didn't notice it first, and then had another closer look and thought, oh, there's something really weird here. But I just sort of shook it off. I'm a bit sort of, don't really believe in ghosts or anything like that. And it wasn't until a few other people started to have a look at it that they realised that there was probably something there.
That's something again. But what? Well, in one print, there seems to be a misty, floating object that wasn't visible through the camera's viewfinder. And in another, a more defined figure.
On the left-hand side was this man, well, it looked like a man, back of a man, quite tall, with a big overcoat on, it looked like. And he looked like he had really broad shoulders. And that's sort of really all I could see. He was quite sort of transparent. And you could only see the top and not the bottom.
At first, Monique was sceptical and checked the negatives in her own darkroom. The figures were on them too. So she took the photographs back to the processing lab for a second opinion.
Oh, they were quite freaked out about it. You know, they could see that it was on the negative and it wasn't anything that was done in the printing process. Yeah, they were really quite freaked out.
There you go. Well, before we talk about that one, I don't know if you've received the message your end from Amanda Murphy.
Yes, I see it.
How much longer till we find my nephew Dylan?
Amanda, I'm going to just say it straight from her mouth. She's saying, don't hold your breath. I'm sorry, darling. I can't see you finding him anytime soon. Please know, though, I don't like going more than 6 months in the future. I'll go out to 2 years max for readings because things can change.
Yeah.
But right now, tonight, as I am talking, I'm not seeing good news for you, darling. I'm sorry to say it like that, okay? But that's exactly how she's telling me. Don't hold your breath, okay? We must remember to look after you first, number one, and just know that you've done all that you can, okay, darling? Yeah, so thank you. Well, thank you so much for commenting, okay?
Yeah.
All right. We've
one.
also got Mimi's on tonight too. Hello from France.
Yeah.
All the Europeans are on tonight, I see, and Australians. It's all good, guys. Hey, just remember, if you do have a question, please comment. You know, we're here for another half hour yet.
Yeah.
So we've still got some videos to go through.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll just touch on that one. With photographs, Mike, it is, you know, we live in the world of Photoshop.
Yeah.
It is very, very easy now to manipulate photography that is digitalized.
Yeah.
Please know, though, that when somebody does, there are ways to authenticate it.
Yeah.
If you look at the AH and JD trial, they have now worked it out how you can authenticate photos that have been photoshopped. So, you know, so there are ways to authenticate. I'm pretty sure that that photo from the jail would have been authenticated.
Yeah, I would think so.
You know, because it's just too hazy. You know, if they were going to really make a, you know, to press a point, they would have put a person there.
Yeah.
You know, because Photoshop, you know, you always want it to look really good.
Yeah.
So I believe that photo definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, moving on. The voice that saved her.
Yeah,
let's just run it and we'll get the comments after. I think this is probably the best thing. No spoiler alert here. Here we go.
It's all good.
A young lady and her dog out for an adventure of a lifetime. It wasn't a wrong turn, but rather a wrong decision that nearly made that adventure of a lifetime end way too prematurely. If not for the saving grace of a voice that only she heard, then it truly may have. It was May of 1988. I was 24 and had just graduated college, but had not been accepted to graduate school yet, so I had some time on my hands. On the third day of my trip, I was driving along the Blue Ridge Parkway, somewhere near the Virginia-North Carolina state line, and saw this weird handmade sign saying to get off the exit and see a genuine Appalachian store. Just then, to my right, I saw an abandoned church, obviously built by hand and built with stone. I thought it looked pretty there amongst the weeds and trees, and continued on. After another 10 minutes, I arrived at the genuine Appalachian store, or at least that's what the sign said. It was a tiny wooden building that had to have been built by hand. There were no cars around, just trees. The hair on my arms was standing up. My dog was growling. But damn it, I drove all this way. I was going to see the inside of an authentic Appalachian store. I was letting my imagination get away from me a little. Heck, maybe they made quilts or some other traditional Appalachian trinket. I wanted to see. I got out of the truck, leaving my dog inside with the windows partly down. There was a cool breeze and no sounds. I walked across the dirt parking lot and entered the store. There was a creaky screen door that pulled out and a paned glass wooden door that pushed inward. A little bell rang as I opened it. There, inside, right by the door, was a giant of a man. He had a long beard, long hair, and these really hairy arms. He was sitting at a checkerboard like he was playing by himself and wearing overalls. There was a second large man, also with long hair and a long beard, by the cash register. I thought to myself, hillbillies really do have long hair and wear overalls. Must be for the effect. This really is authentic, I thought. I saw a pack of blackjack gum. I actually love blackjack gum, and you seldom see it anywhere, so I picked up a pack. It was 25 cents. I went up to the register and told the guy how happy I was to have found some blackjack gum. He took my money and smiled. I turned to leave, but as I approached the door, the man sitting at the checkerboard stood up and blocked my way. He must have been 6.5 feet tall. And then the man from the register came up and stood directly behind me, pinning me between them. The man blocking the door looked down at me with cold, clear eyes and said, "Well now, what's a purty little gal like you doing way out here all by herself?" I knew I was about to be raped and murdered. So I pulled myself up straight and tall and looked the guy right in the eyes and said, "Well, sir, since you ask," and that's when I was going to dive for aisle 2. But instead, this voice loudly said in my ear, "The Stone Church." I stopped. The men had not heard the voice. But again I heard, "The Stone Church." So I said, "The Stone Church." The man's face changed dramatically. That was my cue to run with it. I explained how I had seen the Stone Church while driving, and then began making up an elaborate story about how my daddy, God rest his soul, had worked with stone, and how that church had been beautifully constructed, and how it reminded me of the work my daddy used to do, and how my daddy, God rest his poor soul, would want me to shake the hand of whoever built that church. Don't ask me how I knew to say these things. I don't. The words just flowed out of my mouth like a torrent. But when I was done, the man behind me came around to the front, and they both had their mouths open. Turns out they were the ones who built that church. They told me about building it for a preacher, and they also suggested they may have killed the preacher because he became a problem. Then they told me about their stone building skills, which they got from their daddy, who had also passed away. Then they told me about how they built the store we were in by hand. I asked many questions and acted very interested in every detail. And finally, I shook their hands, and they let me leave the store, saying that I should not stop anywhere or pick up anyone in this area, as things tend to happen to strangers up here, and since we was now friends, they didn't want to see that happen.
Yeah. You're not from around here, are you? Yeah.
Oh, darling, let's just get back to that voice.
Yeah.
Now you know what I get every day. You know?
Yeah.
She'll say something so weird and you think, really?
Yeah.
And then you get these things that occur, like in this story, where it all makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? I can be sitting out the back of my house and I'll hear her say, "Go outside."
Yeah.
And I think, but I already am.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, she must be talking about the front yard, not the backyard. So this day when I heard this, I went through the house, opened my front door, and just as I opened the screen, there was a head-on collision right in front of my house, and I was the witness. So see how it works?
Yeah.
We can't, as long as we trust it, we believe it, and we act on what information we get. So that's what this girl has done. She heard it, and then she's repeated it, so she's trusted it.
Yeah.
So good on her, kudos, because obviously I think it saved her life.
Absolutely.
You know, something really bad could have happened to her that day.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about this before, Linda, about why do angels, or is there divine intervention for some people and not another? Do you think it's the case that unless it's a life contract that you made before coming into the world, that they are there telling us what to do? It's just we don't bloody listen most of the time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because have I always had this? No, I haven't always had it. But when I look back even to my youth, there were times when I did have it, but I just didn't remember or act on it. I always just said, oh, Stu, it's like walking into, let's just go there. It's like walking into a candy store, like a lolly shop, and you say, oh, will I buy the green candies or the yellow candy? And you look at the red and you think, no, I won't. Oh, that looks good. No, I won't take it. But then later you find out that other candy had the winning ticket to the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory inside it. And you think, but I had that feeling that I should have taken that, but I didn't take it. And that's what we've got to start trusting. That's, you'll get this gut feeling, go that way, and you think, nah, I won't go that way, I'll go this way. And then you're stuck in traffic behind a car accident or something. And you think, well, I did here go the other way, but I didn't act on it. So it's learning how to act on it. Remembering it is another thing. I tell everybody, get a diary and start writing stuff down when it happens, so then you can see, you learn to trust it more because you've got it written there,
Well, I used to write all my astral travels down when I woke up in the morning, and at first you only get a line or two because you can't really remember that detail, but the more you do it, you end up writing paragraphs and pages of it, and it's something worth doing because you really start to remember the astral travel, which is completely different to dreaming. Just start writing things down, and you'll develop this ability to go back and think.
Here's a little diary that I've got. And I was showing a lady the other day how to do it. So what you do is you put a line down the middle. So when you've got your line down the middle, you write down the date and the time of what happens. And then when you get a confirmation, you can tick it. So then you know. So when you read in your diary, say 6 months later, and you think, oh, 18th of the 7th, 18th of July 2021, I had a feeling that I was thinking about my friend Sam all day. And then in my notes, you write, next day I saw Sam. And you think, well, I was thinking about you all day yesterday and I haven't seen you in 10 years. So it's a confirmation. So you write it in that second column. So then you can read it back a year later and say, oh, yeah, I've been doing this. And so our brain then is working it out that we can trust it so it gets more of it. Psychic abilities are nothing more than exercises. The more we do them, the better we get. So the more that you do your psychic exercises, the more that you do your intuition work, the more you meditate, the better you get at it, So, there you go.
Super.
It's all good.
Should we go and look at the reincarnation of John McCall?
Absolutely. Let's go.
It's a lovely one. Here we go. Let's run it.
John McConnell, United States. John was a retired police officer who had been very close to his family and had frequently told his daughter Doreen, no matter what happens, I will always take care of you. In 1992, he worked as a security guard, and one night after finishing his shift, stopped an electronics store, and saw 2 men robbing it and pulled out his gun. One of the thieves behind the counter shot at John, and he was hit 6 times. The bullets had sliced through his left lung, his heart, and a main artery. He later died. 5 years after John died, Doreen gave birth to a son she called William. Unfortunately, William was born with serious heart and lung issues and had to undergo surgery. William was born with birth defects very similar to the fatal wounds suffered by his grandfather. When William was old enough, he began talking about his grandfather's life. When he was 3 years old, his mother was trying to work quietly in her study, and William was misbehaving. She told him, "Behave or I will spank you." William replied, "Mum, when you were a little girl and I was your daddy, you were naughty and I never hit you." Later, William began to talk more about the life of his grandfather, and Doreen felt strangely comforted by the idea that her father had returned to take care of her just as he said he would. William then started to talk about his death in his last life and said that people were shooting during the incident. Another time, William said to his mother, "When you were a little girl and I was your daddy, what was my cat's name?" And she replied, "You mean Maniac. No, not that one. The white one." "Oh, you mean Boston," his mother said. "Yeah," William said. "I used to call him Boss, right?" Well, that was correct. The family had 2 cats named Maniac and Boston, and only her father referred to the white one as Boss. On another occasion, his mother asked William if he remembered anything about the time before he was born. He said that he died on a Thursday and went to heaven, and that he saw animals there and also talked to God. He said, "I told God I was ready to come back, and I got born on a Tuesday." Doreen was amazed, as he had yet to learn about days of the week. Doreen started to notice other similarities between her father and William, where they both loved books, and when they visited William's grandmother, he would spend hours looking at books in his grandfather's study, and he even had his grandfather's mannerisms. William was also good at putting things together and could talk non-stop, just like his grandfather. But William especially reminded Doreen of her father when he tells her, "Don't worry, Mum, I'll take care of you." William would often talk about the period between lives and told his mother, "When you die, you don't go right to heaven, you go to different levels." He said that animals are reborn as well as humans, and that animals he saw in heaven did not bite or scratch. Although Doreen's father had been a practicing Catholic, he believed in reincarnation and said that he would like to take care of animals in his next life. William said that when he grows up, he will be an animal doctor and will take care of large animals at a zoo.
Beautiful, beautiful story. Yeah.
Why do you think he wants to look after animals? Humans weren't too nice to him, were they?
No.
Come on, I'm just trying to make it nice here, getting shot 6 times. Yeah. You wouldn't want to become a doctor after that, really, would you? My God. No.
And again, it's
funny
interesting
how karma works.
That he was born with the same kind of symptoms that he died with. And we've seen this.
Yes.
There was the kid who was killed somewhere out in Africa, in the desert somewhere, in one of these small towns. And he was reincarnated, and he had the wound where the guy hit him with the axe, still was born with this wound. And he actually took the police to where his body was buried and actually got a confession out of the murderer some 10 years after. Incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. Yeah. Things, we look at evidence that supports these events, and it's those little bits of information, like a name of a pet or a year they did something or they went somewhere. That information, which is usually private and it's not released anywhere, that's really what gives all this away. How can you work it out unless it was real? So, of course, I believe this reincarnation story. You know, how cool is it? I hope that kid never lost that ability of remembering things from his previous life.
I mean, they say
because
up to about 3 years of age, don't they? They can pretty much remember. Then the system kind of drains them of that information.
System drains, all right. Conditioning.
Yeah. Super. All righty.
It's all good.
So finally,
we've
John Williams, NDE. I like this one because this is a story of how you can turn your life around. Let's run it and see what you think. And if we got time for just a couple more questions, Linda will answer some psychic questions. We got time for a couple more.
Comment your comments, darling. Guys, if you want me to answer something, you've got to make a comment.
Yeah.
And I'll do another questions before we get off tonight too. Okay.
A little over 2 years ago, I died. My name's John, and I'm an addiction survivor. You might wonder what an addiction survivor is. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. For 11 years of my life, I was a drug addict. I was taking approximately 600 pills a month. You know, one day my son, out of the blue, walks up to me. And he says, "You're not my dad. I don't like what the drugs are doing to you. I want my dad back." Something no son should ever have to say to his father. But I'm eternally grateful he did. That was on October 8th of 2011. That was the last day I used anything. Now, I find it interesting that it was my son that came to me. I think about God and how he sent his son to us. And then I think about God and how he sent my son to me. You know, everybody talks about a rock bottom. I remember the night I hit rock bottom. On that night, I threw my daughter and her husband and my brand new grandbaby out of my house. Told them I never wanted to see them again. The next day, they moved 1,000 miles away. But that sweet little girl of mine, I think she had radar for when Dad had a bad day. About a month after I cleaned up, my wife and I split up. I lived on the streets for about 5 months. As much as I hated that, I loved it when I look back on it. It was a great teaching ground. I was a prescription guy. I took prescription painkillers. I didn't know anything about street drugs or alcoholism or smoking or anything like that. So living on the streets, I got to learn about all those different things. I got to learn about street drugs and what a big problem they are for the homeless people. Alcoholism. You know, about a year after I cleaned up, I started helping out with the group I was going to for my recovery classes. About 2 years into it, I started running my own meetings. But I really wasn't totally focused on recovery, at least on other people's recovery. I'd help when I could. A little over 2 years ago, I died. I was dead for 18 minutes. I have a 5-week gap in my memory. The only thing I can remember from that is a conversation I had with God. I found myself sitting in a room, and nothing special about the room, just a room. I didn't go towards the light or anything like that. And then I heard a voice that said, "Son, I need your help." I said, "Okay, what do you need?" And he said, "My children are killing themselves with drugs and alcohol. You walked the road for 11 years and came out good on the other side." And then I learned he had a bit of a sense of humor. He said, "You're welcome, by the way." And I just kind of giggled. And he said, "I need you to be my guy. I need you to go down there and open your mouth to everybody that'll listen and everybody that won't, because they'll listen to you." I said, "Okay." I am so grateful to my Father in heaven for showing compassion to me, for lifting me up out of the gutters, and for showing me the way to be able to live on purpose and not on autopilot.
Still kind of overwhelmed, isn't he?
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah.
You know, this is... Okay, can I just go there, Mike? I'm going to be personal here,
Yeah.
okay? Please don't be offended by this one, guys. But I've listened to probably 10,000 MDE experiences over my life since I had my own in 2001. And a lot of people spend most of their interview talking about either what led to their death or how they died. They don't talk as much about what they learnt or saw when they were there. This man obviously has had a very traumatic life before he died.
Yeah.
So I've studied counselling, I've studied psychology, etc. This is a man who needs to be talking to somebody about all his past issues.
Yeah.
I hope he is seeing medical professionals for this.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw his story, I was thinking, oh, great, we've got a man here, he's not young. Hopefully hopefully it's like a recent NDE. But for the first 3 minutes of his 5-minute story, it was all about the bad life he'd led before it.
Yeah.
We don't need to know what we had before.
No.
It's how our life changed as a result of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't tell people my history. I lived in a women's shelter, Tick, same as him. I've been involved with the drug scene. My first husband was extremely into it, Tick. I've been there in that situation too. But it's who I am now and the changes I've made since my own 21 years ago, what I am today. That's what I talk about, I don't like talking about past trauma, because the more we concentrate and talk about it, the more we're creating it. So for him to be talking about all that stuff, I love his story, don't get me wrong.
No,
but it would be absolutely gorgeous if he just really got to the guts of it and said, I've had a really bad past, and 2 years ago I died.
Yeah. And then his first line was, 2 years ago I died. Yeah.
That's where he should have just kept on going from that point.
Yeah.
But he went 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and started telling us about his life history before his event. So it just shows you that a lot of people do have extremely traumatic lives, and we've got to use our NDE, because what do we really learn when we're there? We learn how to heal and how to love.
Right.
So I've got a feeling this guy didn't really learn that, because he's still got a big grudge with what happened before it.
Okay.
Okay?
And
so at least I'm honest, we do NDE stories every week, Mike, and this is the first one where he has really touched me to the point where he really didn't learn why he went there.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. You know, I hope he realizes the magic that he was experiencing when he went there. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we've got a question.
Yeah. Before we go, the question. Yeah. Why do people believe they have to ask for help, e.g., from angels, and just not directly from God?
So, Mimi Bergerac, please know I am going to do a video on this one because somebody else has asked me this as well.
Yeah.
It's about our higher self. It's about the connection with angels, God, and ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this comment down. So, Mimi, I'm going to do a video on it because it's not just a 2-second answer. It'll be about a 10-minute explanation. Yeah. So I'm just writing it down. Why do people believe they have?
Well, I should tell you, from my perspective, coming from Italian Catholic family, it's all to do with worthiness. You're not worthy to ask God directly, blah, 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 blah. What I have learned with all my work is that God is within us. We are part of God, and we have that God quality within us as well. And yes, as far as I'm concerned, we can go directly to the source, which is in us and part of us. But that's I think exactly it's right. Generally, just as a general answer, it's to do with what we have been taught about who God is and how worthy we are to ask directly to the source. So we go to the angels because they have the ear of God, you know. So yeah, I work directly with God. I work with angels. I just go with whatever I feel is necessary to get the job done. But it's a very good question, which we could have a whole show on, actually.
Absolutely.
Just
and
to
that's
debate
why,
on this.
Yeah. I'm going to do a video on my YouTube channel about it because, this is where we've got to uncondition what we've been taught with our societal belief systems. So it is going to be a video, because I like my videos being about 15 to 25 minutes. So I can really go into it and explain why some people they can't access God. Yeah. So I'll throw in some tips on how to talk to God and all that stuff. It's going to be over at Dr. Linda Kramer on YouTube, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll do a video there. Yes.
Good.
I've got to go and do my nightly thing, Mike.
Yeah, you go and do
Can I just quickly tell people?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go there. Because I'm so proud as punch, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may know I've got a 15 or 16-year-old daughter now. She's in year 10 at school. Mm-hmm. So she's still got year 11 and 12. She's won an award from one of our most prestigious universities here in Queensland. It's called the... Oh, my God, thank you, because I'm just so proud, Mike.
Yeah.
It's called the Potential Student Award. She's won a gift card as well as a certificate, and it's like a mini scholarship for the next 2 years to make sure that she goes into this university. I don't like bragging, but I'm going to brag. She wants to learn, oh, my God, she wants to be an aerodynamic physicist engineer. It's a new course that's starting next year at university where they not only design on paper, but then they build spacecraft. That's what she wants to do. So she's going to be probably working for the Australian Space Agency, which is the Australian version of NASA. She's a very, very smart student. I'm proud of her. But the teachers have said, she's got to study every night. So Wednesday night I'm here. So when we do our videos, I'm always going in there to making sure that she's doing her homework, not just on an iPad playing Minecraft. But she's got to get her head down and start doing this because she's on her way now to really having a great career with like a space agency. So there you go, guys. She's won the Potential Student Award. at NASA, not NASA, but at the university here. It is a very prestigious university that they want her, Mike.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
oh my gosh, you know, so the lady from the university's been emailing me, you know, Teshy's still got 2 years of schooling yet, you know, so this, I'm just so blown away.
Yeah, no
with
doubt.
Well, I will go there. I've got a special child, you know, she's always had something, which I don't like talking about, but this is just an avenue for her to put into practice what she, you know, in the conditioning of society, how she can use, you know, anti-gravitational and reverse engineering type technologies. Yeah.
Well, they said I was a special child, Linda, but I'm not sure what they mean by that.
I'm still pretty sure I'm still a special child, Mike. You know, I can have my special moments too. You know.
Linda, let's wrap this up.
I love
so
you,
you
Mike.
can go and do your
Yes.
homework. And
I've got
I'll keep you all
to go make sure she's
informed
doing her maths.
about what we're going to do with the show next week. If you come in a little bit later, there's some very dark stuff going on with YouTube, which we can't have anything to do with. I'm going to put that announcement up today and show you that it's not just talk, that this is something really bad going on. So let's leave it on a high. Linda, I'll see you next week.
I love you, mate.
Speak to you during the week.
Yep, you have a lovely week, darling. Yep, we'll talk during the week. From Australia, guys, they're saying that tonight is going to be our coldest night on record. We've already broken the record 4 times in the past 2 weeks, and tonight we're going to go for the 3rd. 5th, I think. Breaking, it may even snow in Queensland tonight. That's how cold they're saying it's going to get.
Right.
But yeah, it's freezing here as usual, so I can't, so much for the climate change type thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's cold here in Brisbane, so I've got to go put on my next layer of clothes. So from Australia, guys, stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy. Always look at the bright side of life, and I'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you.